up, gentlemen? So we talk a lot about the nonverbal communicating that we're doing, the way that we stand, the way that we walk, the way that we make eye contact, the way that we shake hands. But one very important aspect to the nonverbal communication equation is what we do with our hands when we're speaking. How we use and utilize our hands when we are communicating is going to be the difference between you being viewed as somebody who is charismatic and attractive or somebody who is viewed as boring and basic. Today, gentlemen, a little hand talking tutorial. We're going to break this video up into 3 separate parts. Part number 1, we're going to go over some of the hand communication rules. Part number 2, I'm going to go over the 5 most attractive hand gestures that you can make, and then at the end I'm going to go over 5 hand gestures you should never use. The first rule when it comes to attractive hand communication is all about speed and tempo. You got to make sure that the speed and tempo, what you're speaking, matches the speed and tempo of your hand movement, because if you're speaking in a nice even manner and your hands are all over the freaking place, this makes you look crazy. The second rule is all about hand communication zone. There is a zone in which you need to keep your hands in, because if you go too far outside of it, you'll look a little bit crazy and people are going to start getting a little bit weird. All right, it goes like this: chest down to your waist, shoulders. Also don't want to move too far outside of your personal space, because at some point you're going to get in the other person's space, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So think of it as a personal hand talking bubble that you need to stay within. Third rule is all about your fingers. You got to make sure that when you are communicating with your hands, that your fingers aren't all stiff and robotic. You remember Antonio Centeno, his old videos? He used to stand there and he looked like a robot because his hands didn't move. Gentlemen, you got to make sure that everything is loose and it's limber. When you are communicating, you're communicating with the entire arm, not just the lower portion, right? This is like T-Rex arms. No, gentlemen, you're communicating, which means you've got flexibility, all sorts of ranges of motion. You just got to make sure that you're staying within your personal hand communication bubble. Bringing us to the 4th hand communication rule, which is make sure that your movements are fluid as opposed to real fast and real jerky. Gentlemen, it's got to be a slow, casual thing when you are communicating with your hands. And the last and final tip that I would give you when it comes to communicating with your hands, something to take it to the next level, is make sure that you're always wearing a watch. The watch is going to draw attention to the fact that you are making these gestures. Gentlemen, if you are looking to take your watch game to the next level, gentlemen, you've got to check out today's video sponsor, Movement. They are incredible, super sexy watches that are not gonna break the bank. See what I did there? Not exactly. Now you're like, yo, it's really not gonna break the bank. Gentlemen, Movement makes some super badass watches. There's a link down below this video to the curated collection. I have gone through and selected some of the Movement watches that I think are the most badass and beautiful. Like this bad boy. Check it out. Are you kidding me? This watch is so ridiculously sexy, it's insane. If you're not afraid of a little bling, gentlemen, you rock this bad boy when you're talking, people are gonna notice. What about this one? I freaking love this watch. It's simple. There's not a lot of busyness going on. It's got the matte black case. It's got the gray mesh nylon canvas strap. Guys, this watch is ridiculous. Here's another one. Check that out, right? Black case, canvas strap. Guys, you have got to go and check out some of these new watches from Movement. They are ridiculous. They really upped their game in terms of styling. I've always loved the clean, minimal aesthetic, but lately they are just crushing it on a different level. Guys, hit that link down below. It's to my personal curated collection of Movement watches. Movement watches that I personally think are the most badass, beautiful, and sexy. The other thing you're gonna grab there, guys, is a discount code. You can use it on any of their watches. And right now, guys, with the holidays here, if money's a little bit tight, I get it, so does Movement. They also have a payment plan option so that you can grab a watch now and pay it over a few installments. Guys, here's the deal. Hit the link, go check out Movement, because when you're talking with your hands, nothing takes your hand talking communication game to the next level like rocking a badass watch. Now let's go over the 5 most attractive hand gestures you can make. I'm gonna want you to do them with me. All right, so stand up, get comfortable. All right, the first one is the single fist pump. Ready? Ready? You're communicating and you're like, yo, gentlemen, I would really appreciate if you drop me a thumbs up. You can do it. This pump signifies encouragement. You can do it. You're the man. I think you're incredible. Gentlemen, here's the deal. If you are talking to somebody, trying to inspire them to do great things or to believe in themselves, if you take that fist and you pump it, gentlemen, they're going to be like, yo, I think I can. That's what I'm talking about. Actually, what did I just do? I did another one that is incredibly powerful, but you got to be careful with the of finger pointing. Now, if you're doing it in a manner that is letting them know you are awesome, this is good. But oftentimes when we point at people, it is perceived that we are being accusatory. Typically, finger pointing is not an attractive hand gesture, except if you're saying something like, you are awesome, I really appreciate you, I think you are amazing, right? Then it's positive. You're like, me? Me? Are you sure? Typically, this is going to fall in the unattractive category. Finger pointing typically is seen as scolding or accusing. The second most attractive hand gesture is the single hand clap. Right there. Boom! Right? Exactly. You're talking to somebody. It signifies power and strength when you clap your hands. Now, the other really cool thing, if you are somebody who is doing a presentation or you're talking to a group of people, giving them a hand clap in the middle of your talk wakes people up and makes them pay attention a little bit more to you. It also lets everybody else in the room know that you are, see, that this is good now, the man. The TP hand gesture signifies that you know your shit. There's been a bunch of research in terms of how we perceive different hand gestures. And when somebody does the TP, this signifies to other people that the person speaking actually knows what they're talking about. So if you want to be an expert or be perceived that you're not lying and that you're honest and that you know your shit, gentlemen, right here. The next most attractive hand gesture is the U gesture. Now, we talked before about that personal space hand communication bubble, right? Well, the U gesture actually goes outside of that. When you're talking to somebody, having a conversation, and you gesture like this, you are bringing them in. You're letting them know that they are special, that they're somebody that you value. The fifth most attractive hand gesture is right here. When you're speaking, when you're communicating, you want your hands at an angle. You want your fingers open, not closed, but you don't want them spread. You also don't want your palms facing up. We'll talk about what that means in a second. But typically, it's going to be right here. This hand position signifies that you are being open and honest, which is the most attractive characteristic out there. But something that is not attractive is this, right? Your hands are up, your fingers are spread. This signifies that you are pleading or begging with somebody. Janice, I love you. Don't leave. Exactly, right? Not exactly attractive. Something else that isn't attractive is the upside down hand, right? Right here. You're talking to somebody and you're saying this, right there. Exactly. This is signifying that you are dominant over the person that you're speaking to. It is a little bit demeaning. Something else that's demeaning, like we talked about, is pointing. This is pretty much letting the person know that you are accusing them of something, or at least that's what it feels like. The next unattractive hand gesture is what I call kung fu hands, because they look like kung fu hands. You look like you're ready to freaking be a savage ninja. But the truth is that if you're talking and you're not actually loosening up those fingers, you look very stiff and robotic. You don't look warm and friendly. That's it. Here's the deal. I am Italian. And so talking with my hands, it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. But the truth is that if you use to communicate with your hands, you are going to communicate better. You're going to engage people more. You're going to be viewed as a more charismatic individual. Let me show you the difference. All right. If I were just to come at you and be like, yo, gentlemen, great to see you. I think you're incredible. Oh my God, you're amazing. Why don't you drop me one of those? Exactly. You're the man. Exactly. You're like, okay, he's kind of weird. But if I was like, gentlemen, what's going on? I think you're incredible. Drop me one of these to be like, yo, Alpha, I think you're the man. See the difference? Exactly. Much more engaging. Gentlemen, you got to make sure that you are learning to use your hands in a proper fashion, because if you can learn to communicate with your hands and use them effectively, it's going to make you a more engaging communicator and speaker, and it's going to make you look and be viewed as more charismatic.